Welcome, everyone, to the October board meeting. We're all here. Donna Prime couldn't be with us tonight, but otherwise we are all present. And if, for all who are able, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Up first tonight, we have Scott Preuser. Am I saying your last name right? Preuser. Okay. We have a Steve Preuss here, so it may be confusing. Preuser. Okay. So welcome. Scott is going to give us the annual audited financial statement report. I feel like my microphone's really loud.
Thank you very much for having me today. I'd like to thank the audit committee that met with me a couple weeks ago. We went over the financial statements in a little more detail, and which allows you to ask questions and go through it. And I also like to thank the district office and business office for the cooperation and courtesy extended throughout the audit. This is not, it's a little 6-month process now. I meet with the audit committee in April, and then pretty much we're here once a month all the way through to go through, there's a lot of information, as you can see, every year. We keep adding on to, well, we don't keep adding on. We're mandated to keep adding on to it. But throughout the whole process, anytime we come here, the district has everything ready. And then we do back and forth with emails. And a lot of things you noticed that there wasn't any comments this year was because throughout the year, the district contacts us. And that's one of the things that we like to do is be able to help the district out, make sure if there's questions or concerns throughout the year, we can answer them and get everything taken care of before, if we come in July or August and it's already too late to do it, but you get questions. And that's how we are with all our schools, just anytime, questions. So they do a great job of doing that. So, and it helps for you that you have, accurate and timely information, and to make a lot of, there's a lot of financial decisions that happen. So, and having that information, right up to, there's some districts we have that, you're like behind a couple months on stuff and you're trying to make a decision. Here you have all, pretty much everything right up to, up to when you need it. And that helps a lot. Like, talk a little bit here in the presentation of things that are coming ahead. So, so looking at your financial, you had an unmodified opinion. There was no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and your student activities, extra classroom fund was unmodified, and there was no comments on that too. The financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects with generally accepted accounting principles. So, I mean, you followed whatever the standards are set by New York State. We kind of went through this in the audit committee too, but when you're looking at the financial and you ever get these questions outside where you look at and you have, page 1, the district-wide, you have a negative net position of almost 48 million. That is, I kind of tell every year, is because they show all your liabilities and all your assets, and you have to show retirees' health insurance, which is an OPEB, and that's $75 million. So, but you're following the prescribed standards. So if you ever get a question on the, out in the public or, people are watching and they're like, well, are we in bad shape? We're like, no, you're just following that. It used to be in the notes, and a lot of stuff was just in the notes, but they've moved it for transparency reasons, is that so everything's shown in the front. And that number doesn't usually go down. Like this year it did because they changed some of the factors, but like I said, 75 million, and that's an actual prepared number. Looking at your financial condition, your district is in great shape. Over $8 million in assets, compared to 1.5 in liabilities, and over 6.5 million in total fund balance. And then we like to see is that you have reserves. You put money towards taxes, and then you still have an unassigned of around the 4%, which is the New York State mandated. Looking at your reserves, and we've talked before, is like you use it for what the purpose the district needs, so you reallocate throughout the process, and your district office does great with recommendations of you have what's coming up, you move it to where you need it. And that was one of the things, you have a capital project coming up for a vote, is that you're able to use a capital reserve, which is is great planning that you have these reserves that you're able to do that. And that saves you a lot of, time and money of having that to start a project off. And you're doing the same thing as a lot of other districts, is get a capital reserve going and using it towards the projects. This year is even more because everyone has, money with the federal, funding and everything. So, but looking at that, like you said, you've done a good job of being able to put a capital reserve portion towards the project that, would be coming up for a vote. And then you have reserves, you have almost 10 reserves, which are used for different things. And that's what we always liked about the district is you've always kept good track and you've had, based on recommendations, setting up all these reserves that could be used for, when you need it. And that could be, coming up in the next couple of years. Federal funding will end in about 2 years. And then state funding is good now, but you don't know what will happen in the next couple of years based on, with inflation and then stock market going down. So that always has an influence on your retirement systems, and that could drive up that rate. But your district right now is in great shape looking at it. Overall, you brought in more revenues compared to budget by almost 200,000, which is great anytime you maximize the budget amount. And like a lot of them are, you charge for services. That means you go out there and make sure if you provide something for districts or anything, you charge for it. Miscellaneous is refunds of prior years, refunds of BOCES, which you don't have. And then sale of the property that you had surplus, you went out and made money on it. Instead of just, junking it, you were able to make money on that. So that's excellent. Looking at your budget, you're very consistent, spending each year. It's between 93 and 95%. This year was 94. So every year you spend, it's a balanced budget every year. And you spend right in that same, those areas we like to see, like huge jumps of, because that means you're not as budgeting as, well, you should. Overall, the district's financial condition is strong. Cash position at the end of the June 30th was over $7 million. Your asset liability ratio went up again this year. It's over 5 to 1. A couple other items. You actually had an operating profit in your school lunch fund this year over $33,000. You have a transfer of $30,000, but in the past you've had losses. So now you have a fund balance of almost $50,000, and that's good because the way they're reimbursing is going back to the old way. So everyone that did well, it's good that you had some buffer for going forward in the next couple of years. Your federal projects, the federal funds, you'll be spending the next couple of years, the ARP and CRISA money. Your district has the HVAC project, which is a big amount of it. So there'll be a lot more. You'll be spending federal funds for the next 2 years. Well, hopefully, hopefully within 2 years. You just wrapped up your other district-wide project in 2018. So timing's perfect going forward with another one. And so now it used to be like, oh, you used to have a gap between project, but it just doesn't work that way because you just have to keep, when one gets done because you have a building condition survey, there's always the next thing of what can be, needs to be done. And then the last point, you have almost $500,000 in your debt service fund, which can be used for future debt payments, which is principal interest. So that can be budgeted throughout, as long as you have that debt on the books that can be, used for the future. So, like I said, looking overall, your district is in good financial health. And you're able, with proper planning, you're able to do something like we talked with the capital and still have money left for everything else, So hopefully that'll be good going forward. Like I said, we don't know right now, everything is good, but with, inflation and how that and supply chain is still kind of throwing off, districts. This way you can, weather those storms. It seems like one after another, but you're able to do it with, like I said, with proper planning. So is there any questions or?
Any questions? Thank you so much, Scott. And thank you, Lynn, for being a big part of why this report is so tidy and nice. So appreciate the teamwork. So thank you.
Thank you.
So up next, we have Jim Conway with the elementary state.
Okay. So on behalf of the elementary school, I do want to thank the Board of Education for all that you do and your child-centered approach at all times and your thoughtfulness in decision-making. We're very fortunate to have you serving as our Board of Education, so thank you. Let's get acquainted night. This year, I probably shared with you that we combined the 2 nights into one, and the feedback was pretty positive. So I wanted to share that with you. Again, very well attended, and that's one of the best indicators that we really have for events at school. Like how many people actually go, and what an interest our families take in their children's education. Where we have close to 100% of our families there on nights like that. So we're very proud of that. I also wanted to mention the Fall Festival, the PTSO Fall Festival that some of you were able to attend on September 30th. We did not have Mr. Luthringer get into the dunk tank, but possibly next year he'll be there, but thank you for attending that. And it was a great community event. It was exciting to have that event full force again this year. Our kids were very excited, and it was very fruitful for our PTSO to allow them to sponsor a lot of events for our students throughout the school year. I wanted to make you aware of an event that's one class and slightly a few more students in one class will be participating next Friday, October 21st. The New York State Fall Games of the Special Olympics are being held in our region. And in a joint venture with our physical education department, special education department, and myself, we have a class of students, students with and without disabilities that will be participating in this event. And it's our first venture into something like this. And we hope it's the first of what will be a continuation of our students. As you know, we try to be as inclusive in our building as possible, and we have been for years. Our approach has been that, and this is another nice step to involve our kids in this opportunity. I did want to mention our student leadership roles. You know that leadership is very important for us. We had 59 students in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade apply to be on our Student Lighthouse team. We started with teams of about a dozen, probably 6 years ago. So it's a problem, a good problem to have, where out of those students that apply, we keep 13 per grade level, but we also find out, well, if you're not on the Student Lighthouse team, what types of roles would you be interested in? So here's a sampling of things that kids are involved in this year, and they do this independently of us. They're responsible for bird feeders that are out in the courtyard. They maintain our fish tank, feeding, making sure we have no one floating, that things are that everybody's fed. Our memory book, creating our memory book. We don't have an advisor. The students run creating their yearbook each year. Holiday decorators. So we have groups of students that decorate our cafeteria throughout the year at holiday occasions. We have a courtyard crew. These are students that make sure the courtyard is looking good. The fish in the pond, that was a creation of students, are taken care of, and the gardens out in front. In addition, there are 33 kids that are participating on our morning announcements team. There are 90 students that are serving as greeters throughout the school year. So we have about a dozen students each morning that are at various locations that are greeting folks as they enter the building. So very exciting, and that's in addition to responsibilities that kids have in their class. These are more school-wide things, and I'll keep you posted to what major accomplishments they have this year. I don't know what will happen yet, but I know that there will be something big that happens that the Lighthouse students create. And finally, just an update on our building level goals. Our building level committees are very focused on several things. One is student leadership, self-advocacy. Students being able to take initiative, get answers, solve their problems, know who that they can go to make something happen. And that's K through 6. In the area of a supportive school environment, again, developing trusting relationships not only among our students, but among our staff and students and our families. And then under the area of goal achievement, really focused in again on student goal setting, making sure that kids starting in kindergarten understand how to set a personal goal, how to set an academic goal, and then to develop a plan to reach those goals. And it's something we get a little better at each year, but we're really keyed in on those three goals through our cabinet, and they are goals that our committees, our action teams are focused on incorporating into the work that they're doing. I think that's it. Questions? Yep.
It's so heartwarming to hear about the family engagement happening on the open house night, and also the student engagement through leadership. And you do such a great job in the elementary school of leadership. Can be very quiet. It doesn't have to be front row and center. I think sometimes we think the leader is the person that we see and hear, but there's quiet leadership, and that we celebrate that is wonderful. So thank you for.
Covey's habits, leadership starts with me. Right.
There we go. Thank
First
you.
one, be a leader of yourself. All right. Thank you.
Up next, our secondary update with Fran Kokoza, our secondary principal.
Mario's hydrating for his big marathon this weekend. Good luck. So, yes, I'm sure you will. So just like our district goals and what Mr. Conway spoke about, the high school has set the goals for our forum, our shared decision-making body, and it falls under those tenets of student engagement, parent engagement, and community engagement as well. So we actually just set them today, and we're going to develop action plans around them. There are four. One, looking at our open house and how to better engage with families at our open house. The attendance, so student attendance policy, a comprehensive review of that policy and all that entails, with the lessons that we learned over COVID and students being physically present in school and the constraints around that. And perhaps it's time to really look at our attendance in a different way. So we're going to take that on this year. Our senior Give Back Day, we're looking to actually involve more grade levels in that community endeavor. So Forum will be tackling that this year. And an overarching goal of, we do a fairly good job, at least the past few years, of introducing our sophomores, juniors, and seniors to summer employment through job fairs. However, rolling that back a little further, focusing on careers and a career focus and vocational focus. So we'll be looking to tackle that this year, building wide through our forum. So open house attendance, senior Give Back Day, and careers will be the focus of our shared decision-making body this school year. Our sport teams are doing very well, extremely well this fall season, and are headed quickly to the postseason. So we'll see what happens in our postseason as the leaves fall off the trees and our students continue to compete on the field, on and off the field. This Friday is the Lake George Alumni Association's Chicken Parm Dinner fundraiser. So if you haven't already, secure your chicken parm dinner. I know I've secured 5, so you can buy them online and pick them up on Friday. And finally, last week, very quietly, but I didn't want it to go unrecognized, the Lake George Teen Center opened for its 6th year of operation. So the Teen Center is now in its 6th year of operation, servicing students in grades 7 through 12 of the Lake George community, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday after school, and Thursday off-site with various programming in a multitude of locations throughout our community. So our very own Jen DeLolio is the director of the Teen Center, and she just hired a brand new assistant. So we're excited for the 6th season of the Teen Center. That's all I have.
Questions? Thank you, Fran. Lots of good news. Thank you. Up next, we have John Luthringer, our first superintendent report.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. So as Mr. Conway alluded to, the New York State School Boards Association recognizes October 17th to the 21st as School Board Recognition Week. So we wanted to take a moment to recognize all of our school board members here. And I've got just a little few notes, as I think it's important to bring awareness and understanding to the roles that all of you play. So this is a time to promote awareness and understanding of the important work performed by the local school boards. It takes a strong school to build a strong community. And each of you dedicate countless hours with no compensation to make sure our school district is helping every child learn at a higher level. With Lake George students as your primary focus, school board members play a variety of roles. They create a shared vision for the future of education. They set the direction for the school district to achieve the highest student performance, provide accountability for student achievement results, develop and adopt a budget and present it to the community, align district resources to improve achievement, support a healthy school district culture in which to work and to learn, ensure strategies, resources, policies, and programs align with district goals, and much, much, much more. Public schools form the bedrock of our communities and our country, and our students benefit from your work each and every day. We offer our sincere gratitude and appreciation for your dedication to the Lake George Central School District. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all the effort and support that you play with me as well. And I have some certificates for you, and there is a nice little plant here to symbolize all of your efforts here. So if you have a moment here, so we'll recognize each of you. So first, for embodying the Lake George Central School District mission, vision, and values, Marianne McKenzie. Got a certificate for you, Marianne. So thank you. Trisha Biles. Thanks, Trisha. Thank you. Janine Bieber. Thanks, Janine. Rosemary Earl. Thank you. Mario Fasulo. I won't make you jump over that. Donna Prime is not here tonight, but we'll recognize Donna as well. So round of applause for Donna. And Katie Bruni. Thanks, Katie. We have two other recognitions here also from NYSSBA that came in the mail here. So the New York State School Boards Association has their own recognition program designed to acknowledge those school board members who strive to continually expand their governance knowledge and skills. So there's, as many of you know, that there's required training, there's other ways to further yourselves as board members, and I have two recognitions here. So one's going to Trisha Biles and one's going to Katie Bruning for participation in the New York State School Boards Association leadership development opportunities totaling 250 points. So congratulations. There's Trisha. So, thank you.
So much.
Thank you. I just have a couple other comments to make here. So there's a lot of great things going on, as we all know. It's a beautiful time of year with fall, and as we're continuing on into the fall, we're still developing programs and taking a look at different initiatives that we want to take on for the school year. And one of them is certainly one that's really, really important as we come out of COVID as well, but even before COVID, is really addressing the needs of our students, the mental health needs of our students. And one thing that we had a meeting on, the administrative team and I, is ways that we can continue to support our students and families that might be struggling with different mental health needs. And I also participate on a committee, the Warren Washington, or the Warren there's a committee, sorry, the Warren County Interagency Committee. So it's a group of us that get together monthly. So it's got members of the hospital, there's members from all sorts of mental health organizations, Preventive, the sheriff. So we all get together and we talk about different needs in our community and problems that we can continue to solve. And one of the major problems in our region, and not only our region, but in New York State, is the lack of licensed therapists for our students and our families. And those that do exist, their caseloads are extremely, they're huge. So one thing that a lot of districts are doing is starting to work closely with organizations and actually housing a school-based clinic program. So one of the things we're looking at is an organization called BHSN, Behavioral Health Services North. There's a couple organizations in our area that provide this opportunity. One of them is through Northern Rivers, Parsons, but BHSN is an organization from Plattsburgh. They just opened a brand new, beautiful facility down on Bay Road. It is gorgeous. And they have a great school-based program to provide mental health needs for our students that go beyond just normal school counseling or social worker needs of our district staff. And we're really excited about it. There's no cost to the district. Essentially, we provide a space and they provide a licensed therapist or licensed counselor to really kind of go above and beyond what our students might be getting at school. So there is a referral process. So our district staff would play a big role in that and referring students and families to receive additional support. And we're really at this kind of infancy stage right now, but we're really excited about it. They're currently working in Saratoga Springs School District and a bunch of other school districts up and down the 87 corridor. So it's really just another layer of ways that we can continue to support our families. And it's going to take a couple months for us to get going on it. We have to fill out an application, we have to identify space, and then they have to go out and secure licensed therapists. So it is something that we're excited about, more information to come on it, but it is something that we feel that would benefit some of our students here in Lake George. Any questions on that one? Yeah. And the other one that is something that we started last year is our work towards bringing an F1 visa program to Lake George Central School District. And again, just to remind everyone, this is a program that brings foreign exchange students from overseas and other countries to come and actually participate in academics and enroll here in Lake George for up to a year. So this process has been started. It's really been under the leadership of Megan Coker, and a committee has been working all summer on it. And in November, they're going to come and present to the board meeting. And we're really excited about that. There's been a ton of work that's been done. The application process is underway. We've talked about program description, roles and responsibilities, the processes, host family recruitment, the education component to it. So there's a whole host of a presentation that's going to be provided in November, and all the work that's really been done up to this point. Moving from November through to next year, our goal, the application takes about 8 months. Our goal is to have students here next year at some point. That is our ultimate goal. And we know there's a tremendous amount of work that still needs to be done. So one of the things that we've talked about is the need for a program coordinator, one of our faculty member or members to take on the roles and responsibilities of that. So there'll be more information about that leading up to the November meeting. But there is a tremendous amount of work to prepare ourselves and prepare our district and prepare our families for this type of program. But we're really excited about it. We believe it's going to add a tremendous value to our school culture and our school district, and we know our students are going to really benefit from it. There are 2 other area districts in our region that have this program, Newcomb up north and Queensbury to the south, and they have seen tremendous value. And it really gives us an opportunity to collaborate. And when I look at Lake George, we have so much to offer. We have such an excellent academic program, plus all of our region and our community, that we feel students would be very willing and want to come to our school district. So we're excited about it. There'll be more information to come. We're going to have a great presentation in November. And then we'll continue to proceed from there. And then finally, I know on the board agenda tonight, there is a seeker resolution, which again is that State Environmental Review Act resolution in regards to the capital project, the pending capital project, going to vote in December. One of the last pieces of that we just got recently was our archaeological study, and they found that there was nothing conclusive in that area. So actually, we had people up over the last week. They did shovel tests, over 103 shovel tests in the area, in addition to metal detecting. So they did well over an acre of metal detecting all over different places in the proposed area on the elementary school property. They found nothing of significance. They found some bottle caps and some different elements from and some corroded things. And lots of areas where people had already done treasure hunting for different bottles and things. So at this point, they've concluded their tests. There's nothing that they have found that is conclusive of stopping any movement on this. And it was really one of the last pieces that we've done in regards to seeker. So that's great news for us, as we do live in an archaeological sensitive area. And certainly if we uncover things as they begin, that'll be addressed as well. But at this point, we're very pleased with the results of the study. So at this point, that's all I have. So any questions? Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Next up, we have the Audit and Finance Committee report with Mario Fasulo, who's the chair of that committee.
Thanks, Katie. There's a few things that are going to be on the business consent agenda and a few things that have already been reviewed. We went over the treasurer's report for July and August. There was really nothing there of significant. We are right now earning about 2%, but as the interest rate continues to climb, it will be expected to be around 4% or higher for us, which will help our investments. That will be on the consent agenda. The claim auditors report we went over for August. There was nothing on there to really report. We reviewed the budget calendar, which is really driven by New York State regulations that we have to meet. We'll vote on that later. We do recommend that the board approve the calendar. We received a notice from a company called AMP, which is building solar panels on a property on 149. The property is taxable the way it is. If we did not file a pilot, which is payment in lieu of taxes, we would not be able to have taxes paid on the material being built on there. So John had received the notice. He submitted it to the attorney, I believe, and he and Lynn talked about it with them, and we're gonna we did put that in. So we sent them a notice that we are looking for a pilot agreement. So at some point, the school and the AMP company will come on some type of agreement for taxes to be paid to the school district. Financial advisor, we reviewed the debt schedule, which was a big deal. And I got to tell you, one of the things I'm learning a lot of being on this committee is the organization that you need to have and the planning that you need to have. We reviewed the debt schedule, and I don't think it's on the agenda anywhere, but it's interesting to see how Lynn has laid it out, where one project falls off, another one picks right up. So we really are able to do that without impacting the tax base, which is crucial because we don't want to impact that. But Lynn has done a great job of balancing that out over time. John just went over the F1 visa program, so that's something we reviewed. But I remember we had Chevy from the Rotary, which was a great experience for the kids in the school and for him. So I think if that's something that we get going, based off of that one experience I have, I think that'll be a great program for us to bring into the school. And then Scott just did a great job or he left, I think, but he did a great job of reviewing the financials, which again, you learn more of that. There's a huge business side to this district that entails a lot of planning and a lot of organization. And we're very fortunate that we have a good business office that is able to do that. And I'm thankful for that because it could go south. One of the things that Scott mentioned that I've heard over the last 8 months in talking to people is the way the schools have spent their COVID money. Our district did a good job of spending it on projects that once the project ends, it's over, where other school districts created positions with that COVID money. But when that money ends, then the school has to come up with the funds. And we didn't go down that road, which I think is great, because at that point, the school's on the hook for whatever positions they created, or they have to eliminate those positions. And I think they did a nice job with that. So there's 3 things that are going to be on the agenda later to be voted on. That's all I have from the meeting. Any questions on it?
I was just noticing and thinking about the pilot agreement for the solar panels on 149, and one of the proposed resolutions for the New York State School Board Association's advocacy list dealt with advocating for school districts to have more presence in the negotiating of the pilot agreements, which I think I think that it is meant to help school districts be able to budget more accurately so that they have more timely information. But just something I just wanted to comment on, because I noticed we file for the pilot, but somebody else negotiates it. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's something we might see in
Yeah.
the future, advocacy wise.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. See a piece of that. Next up, we have Rosemary Earl, the chair of the curriculum committee.
Oh, good evening. So on September 13th, the curriculum committee met in our planning meeting for the year. So we established what presentations will be given this year at board meetings and curriculum committee meetings. I'll just briefly read them out. Special education's presenting at the next board, in December's board meeting, the math department in January, the science department in February, and the music department in March. And then for the curriculum committee, we're having 2 departments present to us in December, and the business department. In February, technology, and in April, the world languages department. So we discussed the format of the presentations and the process in which the departments will go through to be approved. Their presentations need to be approved before it gets to us. So that was it. That was just the planning meeting, the first meeting of the year. So our next meeting is in December. So any questions about that? No?
Thank you, Rosemary. And our next committee report is the Policy Committee report with Mary Ann McKenzie, who chairs that committee.
Okay. We have got 3 policies moving to second read this evening. They are 1530 minutes, 3271 solicitation of charitable donations, and 6560 determination of employment status employee or independent contractor. We talked about those policies last month. They're second read tonight. Moving to first read, we have got 4 policies. 1510 is regular board meetings and rules, quorum, parliamentary procedure, and public comment. This was an Erie 1, this is here reflecting an Erie 1 update, which had due to revisions of the open meetings law, which expands the ability of boards to use video conferencing during extraordinary circumstances. It permits board members to participate remotely from locations that are not open to the public. It also requires us to adopt a resolution to authorize this, which we'll be looking for at our next month's board meeting. And it does require written procedures around how we use extraordinary circumstances, and it requires a quorum in one setting, at least one setting where the public can attend. And just to note that this change does not eliminate the prior resolution that we had, which allows board members to attend virtually from locations that are open to the public. Because we had this update, it gave us an opportunity, an easy opportunity to tweak some of the language in the public comment section with the purpose of making it more understandable and less prone to confusion. So no content changed. It was just kind of trying to make the wording a little bit better organized. 3412, threats of violence in school. This was reviewed electronically by just our routine manual review with just minor wordsmithing revision, no substantive changes. Policy 3272, advertising in the schools, also reviewed per our routine manual review. Again, some wordsmithing and a revision to improve clarity of language. Policy 7540, suicide. This came to us by, we discussed this last month as well. This was an Erie 1 update reflecting updated guidance from the New York State Education Department, as well as the implementation of the new suicide hotline 3-digit 988 number. And as I stated last month, this was discussed in our last policy meeting. Because this policy would represent a new policy for Lake George, the plan was for the district administrators to reflect and discuss with student support staff before taking on any other steps. And since that time, Superintendent Luthringer has let us know that those discussions did occur, and the team is in support of moving the policy forward to first read. Let's see, I think that, and there was one policy that we reviewed electronically that there were no changes recommended, so that'll just receive an updated date of review, and that's 3320, confidentiality of computerized information. And our next policy meeting is November 7th. And that is it. Any questions?
Thank you, Mary Ann. Up next is our first of 2 public comment periods, and this first period is for items that are on the agenda. And I'm just going to briefly read the full information about public comment is in the agenda, but just highlight a couple things. The Lake George Central School District Board of Education welcomes district residents, parents, and other interested persons to its meetings. Community involvement at board meetings is encouraged so that the board can better understand and represent the views of its constituents. Please be aware that by law, individual student information or particular personnel issues cannot be discussed at public sessions of the board. When you come to the microphone, if you could please state your name and address. And the statements are limited to 3 minutes. The board and district staff take your public comments very seriously, and careful notes of questions and concerns are taken so that they can be addressed as soon as possible. Thank you in advance for helping maintain a safe and respectful decorum at our meeting. So we have a sign-up sheet, and just so you know, we use the sign-up sheet so that we know who would like to make a public comment and have the information so that we can get back to folks. If for some reason you didn't have a chance to sign up the sheet, you can still make a public comment, even if your name's not on the sheet. The first name I have on this period one is Lisa Doster.
Good evening, Lisa Doster, a resident of the District of Lake George. My public comment has to do with the discussions of regular board meetings tonight. To work within the law is of most importance. In writing policies, we should have clear and concise language within the law, not terms and language that bring about ambiguity and confusion. As of March 2022, we have not been following New York State law when conducting our meetings. Due to New York Sunshine Law updates and the expiration of Chapter 1, all public bodies, like our own Board of Education, are required to comply with the in-person provisions of the Open Meetings Law. See Public Officers Law, Article 7. Members of the public body, like this board, shall be physically present at any such meeting unless such member is unable to be physically present at any such meeting location due to extraordinary circumstances, as set forth in the resolution and written procedures of the law. The legal definition for extraordinary circumstances are defined as circumstances which make it impractical or impossible for the operator to comply with being in person. This could be a medical issue, illness, state or locally proclaimed emergency, snow, ice, hurricane, tornado, floods, or an act of God. Having a personal job outside of our state of New York does not fall under an extraordinary circumstances, and in the in-person provisions of the law are required compliance for this board. Thank you.
Good evening, Mike Gates. I have a residence here in Lake George. Prior to the meeting tonight, I had a chance to review the regular board meeting that's going to first read. I had two quick concerns with it. It seems a little vague and maybe confusing to me. In part, in talking about video conferencing for the board meetings, this policy is specifying that the board would conduct a public hearing, have a resolution made to use it, but then designates that power in one section to specify each committee or subcommittee can make that determination. But a subcommittee isn't a quorum of the board and therefore can't take any actions as the board if it's on a case-by-case basis. So I have concerns whether that would actually be legal or not. The second concern was regards to Robert's Rules of Orders. It says the board will use pertinent portions of the latest versions of Robert Rules of Orders to conduct its business. But what portions are we going to use? It should be specified in the policy that the board will adhere by these sections of Robert's Rules to clarify the way this board is going to conduct business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. There was no other names on the list. Is there anybody else? Okay,
I may address the board.
yes.
I just want to make a clarifying point because of the policy. I think it can be confusing with the policy that has come up about extraordinary circumstances and remote participation in a place that is not open for the public is something that has come before the board that we anticipate passing that resolution or viewing it next month. But we already have the resolution for remote participation of a board member who is unable to attend the board meeting based on a set of circumstances that's in the resolution. So we already have that in place. That's been passed and legal and reviewed by lawyers, I believe. That everybody's understanding?
Yes, I think that resolution was passed last August.
Okay.
And that is different from this extraordinary circumstances says that if under extraordinary circumstances, a person may attend virtually in a location that is not open to the public.
Mhm.
Our prior resolution that is not affected by this says that under a certain set of circumstances, someone may attend virtually, that location is open to the public.
Mhm.
And that was our resolution that stands, that was passed last year.
Which we did have help from our lawyers in crafting that resolution. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Next up is our school business and the school business consent agenda.
As recommended by the superintendent, be resolved that the Board of Education of Lake George Central School District hereby approves the school business consent agenda items A through I. So in summary, item A is the recommendation the board approves the minutes from the regular meeting held on September 13th. Item B is the recommendation to approve the October CSE recommendations. Item C is the audit committee met and reviewed the July and August treasurer's reports. The accounts have been reconciled. Item D is the September Audit and Finance Committee meeting. The claims audit reports for July and August were reviewed. Item E is the September and Audit Finance Committee meeting. Scott, who was here tonight, reported out on the findings, as we all heard, of the annual audit. Item F is the adopting of the budget calendar leading to the annual budget vote and election of school board members for the 2023-2024 school year. The calendar was developed based on the guidelines provided by NYSBA and school law. Item G, there are 3 policies listed that have gone through the standard first and second read. There have been no additional comments on these policies. And item H and I, the junior, senior high school and elementary school response to intervention and academic intervention service plans have been reviewed and updated accordingly.
Do you have any questions or discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And the next item is the shared decision-making.
As recommended by the superintendent, be resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the 2022 through 2024 Lake George Central School District shared decision-making plan. This has to be reviewed per SED guidance by annual basis.
So any questions or discussion? I just wanted to thank the Shared Decision-Making Committee who reviewed and revised the plan. Thank them for their work on this. So, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is what John had made reference to, the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
The State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker resolution as presented is in connection with the proposed transportation facility capital project. The proposed seeker resolution, 1, classifies the project as an unlisted action under seeker. 2, declares the board as lead agency for purposes of issuing a determination of significance. And 3, issues a negative declaration based on the conclusion that the proposed project will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. It is my recommendation that the board adopts this resolution as presented here.
Is there any questions or discussion? We have Garrett Hamlin here
Yes.
tonight, who is part of our team that helped the board with this, and the district's very fortunate to have a high level of dedication and expertise on the team who assisted the board with this seeker state environmental quality review process. And I just wanted to thank everybody who put in that work, and it's a pretty meaty process, and we really appreciate all the expertise that went into that. And thank you for being here. He came tonight in case anybody had any questions, but it was nice and thorough in the agenda. Does anybody have?
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, being fortunate enough to be part of some of the process and being in some of the meetings with the discussions and learning about the different aspects of this project that we would have to look into. And then seeing everything brought together in this report for approval. What's nice, no surprises. Everything has been discussed. I just, it was just it's been a really good process so far, and that's wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, so we had our motion and our second, and all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And the next item is the voter referendum.
As recommended by the superintendent, be resolved to the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District at a special meeting of the qualified voters of the school district be, and the same hereby called and be held in the Lake George Elementary School, 69 Sun Valley Road, on Tuesday, December 6, 2022, from 12 p.m. until 7 p.m. prevailing time for the purpose of voting on the following proposition as presented. This resolution authorizes a public referendum on December 6 for a proposed new transportation facility located on the elementary site, and provides the details for the public vote, describes the project and how the project will be funded, and provides details on absentee ballots as well.
Do we have a motion?
Second?
Do you have any questions?
I've got a question. How are we getting the word out to our community, especially the folks who aren't connected to the school district with children?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tricia. We have first on our website, we have a transportation section on our website, but we are planning a community presentation in November. It will also be part of our fall newsletter. It will be the primary focus of our fall newsletter that will be sent out to all community members. That will be in mailboxes in early November. And then following that will be the community presentation, where we'll have members of our stakeholder team that was participating all summer in development of this project. So we feel we have a strong approach leading up to December 6th, where it will be fresh in people's minds heading to the polls on December 6th. But we do have the newsletter and the community presentation that will be inviting members of our community to listen and find out about the project.
Thank you. And that answer was so thorough, it kind of sounded like I had prepped you for it, and I didn't. I could have thrown him for a loop, but he was there. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So the next item is the 2022-2023 Board of Education goals.
As recommended by the superintendent, be resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the 2022-2023 Board of Education goals. A copy of the goals has been incorporated into the agenda and will be placed on the district website upon adoption. These goals were developed at our recent retreat and workshop and working towards development of measurable goals for the Board of Education and the district.
Do we have a motion?
Second?
Do we have any discussion or questions? I had a comment to start. I just wanted to thank John Luthringer for coordinating our recent retreat that was facilitated by Dr. Michael Horning from SuperEval. And Michael led us in an excellent training on superintendent evaluations and board self-evaluation, the philosophy and the process, as well as training on creating goals. And this was followed by a board workshop, which is a public board workshop for drafting our goals for this school year. So thank you so much, John, for your work on that. It was really very helpful. I learned a lot, and it was really, I feel more confident about our goals this year because of that training, and then being able to go right from that training into a facilitated public workshop. So.
I agree. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I echo that too. I really feel like the amount of house assistance was tremendous, but it was such valuable time spent, because I really feel now for the first time, I think we can approach next year, like knowing where our feet are standing, you know, how to approach it. And that is just huge. So I'm very grateful, and really appreciate you bringing Dr. Horning in and supporting us with that.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And the next item up is the 2022 through 2024 district level goals.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Lake George Central School District hereby approves the 2022 through 2024 district level goals. A copy of the district level goals has been incorporated in the agenda of this meeting. Just to comment briefly that these are not new goals, as we talked about at our retreat and workshop. These goals have been revised as of 2020 in the district in a stakeholder process, but due to COVID and the impacts of COVID, the goals weren't at the forefront, and they weren't measured. So we'd like to, as a district, take an opportunity to work towards achieving the goals, and through this process, reaffirm our dedication to those goals for the next 2 years.
Thank you, John. Any questions or comments, discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is faculty staff recognitions. Oh, recognitions, is that right? Wait, oh, wait. Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, the subcategory, I'm reading the overarching piece. It's faculty staff resignations. Thank you, Marianne.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Lake George Central School District hereby approves the termination of Justin Wolf for the reason of abandonment of his position of cleaner nights in the non-competitive class of the civil service effective September 29th, 2022.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the faculty staff consent agenda.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the faculty staff consent agenda items A through C. In summary, item A is to appoint Edward LaFerriere as a bus driver trainee. Item B is a motion to amend the 2022-2023 volunteer coaches list. And item C is to amend the 2022-2023 substitute salary rates of substitutes not hired through BOCES.
So move.
Any questions? Yep.
John, the rates for the subs, the custodians, typists, all that, are these set by the state? Are they set by us as a school district? Who sets these rates?
These are set by the district. They're by us.
So
These are for typically a lot of these are for positions that are not of the teacher teacher position, teacher substitute position. Maybe you can speak to that, Lynn.
Some of these increases are so we're in compliance with the New York State minimum wage laws that are going to be changing on January 1st.
absolutely right. So I know that they're changing. My thought is that, and I don't know, we haven't gone through to say, hey, these positions have these vacancies or whatever. if there is a need, we do have the ability to increase that rate if we want to attract more applicants, if we so need to fill.
Yes, we do.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Yeah, I didn't see whose hands. Okay. Motion carries. And the next item up is Board of Education comments and discussion. Does anybody have any comments or discussion?
I do.
Good.
Well, first I want to say thank you, John, and the whole team for the recognition of the board. And I want to say thank you to the whole board for your involvement. And John, you said something that hit me when you said, and not compensated, right? And that is a topic that everybody always asks me, oh, do you get paid? What do you get paid? And it's true, we don't get paid, but I'm just going to go ahead and say here and now that we do get compensated. We get I'll speak for myself. I get compensated because I do believe that this work fills me up. I think that the good that we're doing, the difference that we're making is a big part of that. The relationships that we have as board members and that we develop collegially with all of you, those are big pieces of compensation. And so often in our culture, we tie someone's value to their paycheck, right? How much they make. And I think a board is a phenomenal example of how that is not true. There is value and there's worth, and it doesn't have to be attached to money. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you for the work that you put in, for how you fill me up, and how we together work to do the best that we can for our students, our community, and society as a whole. A big part of my buy-in to being a school board member is wanting to be exemplary, wanting to do the very best possible job, and then share that. And to that end, I want to let folks know that there was a National School Board Association call for proposals. And I'm like, I've been through an awful lot on this school board, and these have been some tumultuous times. We've faced quite a bit. And I believe that we are in a place right now where, we're hearing good things that are happening in the district. We have stable finances. We have some good intellectual discourse that goes on. And so I put in a proposal. I consulted with Katie and Marianne, who have been with me on this journey almost from the beginning. I want to tell you a little bit about the proposal because it was accepted, and we've been invited to present at the National School Boards Association. And the title of the proposal was From Conflict and Controversy to Collaboration, One School Board's 3-Year Journey to Success. And really citing the policies, the practices, the shared decision-making work that we've done, the efforts we've put forward for transparency and interpersonal relations. Those are all things that I think are important for us to model. And I would say, especially at the National School Board level, who they themselves were in a bit of controversy because they pushed back a little bit on some different political ideas. And I think that the idea of including everyone, listening to everyone, and I think one of the learning objectives is here, learn and practice the benefits of using a dignity model when faced with criticism, betrayal, and mistrust. A couple other, the other learning objectives, identify the impacts of interpersonal and community conflict and controversy on board governance, understand more about how policy, communication protocols, consensus, and shared decision-making plans can guide Board of Educations, and then engage collegially with other attendees, this is at the conference, and learn how strong collaborative practices lead to effective governance. It's actually fortunate that we have shared decision-making on our agenda today. It's at the forefront of our mind. But I bring it to board discussion because it's not something that I think that we can present without the unanimous support of the board. Because we would be representing Lake George in that. And then there's a financial piece also, because to attend, you also need to pay for the registration fee. So I just wanted to open that up for questions, for comments. Marianne and Katie really helped with some of the content and the proposal. So Marianne, Katie, I don't know if you wanted to add anything more to what I said.
You're pretty comprehensive. Thank you. In a good way.
Well, I would just back up for a little, just to clear. So it's the National School Board Association Annual Convention, and it's in Orlando, Florida,
Mhm.
and it's in April. And yeah, I think you really said it all, Tricia. I do think, you know, we have been through a really exhilarating journey thus far, and I think we do have something to share. I think that we've just had a lot of positive growth and understanding, and anyway, I think it would also be a great opportunity to just to connect with other people and just like experience that national a national experience, I guess. Yeah, a unique opportunity.
In addition to sharing the things that they all talked about, we would bring back a lot learned and grow in ways that will help us bring back positive things to the board.
So I think the next thing would be for us to put out to the board the costs involved. And, you know, I personally would be willing to accept some of the travel costs and the lodging and so forth. Really, I think the registration fee would be the piece that would be most helpful. But we can draw up that estimate and put that out to the board and decide if that's something that we're able to support. And then if you have any questions tonight or any other time, just throw them out there.
Well, that's really an exciting proposition. I think that's great that the work was recognized and thought of as valuable. It certainly has been a valuable experience to me these past couple of years. So I've learned a lot from the community, from all of you. So that would be great to share it. Pass it forward, pay it forward. So.
Right.
It would be great to have you represent us at the national conference. Is there any way that we could see the proposal or anything? Okay, okay, great. Thank you.
Else? Okay. Do you have something, Marianne?
Just different topic.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to note that just last month, a community member had asked a question about the proposed transportation facility and whether or not the use of firewalls might be a consideration. And I did respond to that community member, but just in case anybody else is interested with the answer, I think what I learned is that at this time, it's the space determinations that are being made, and that those safety, style of safety, whether it be a firewall or some other, that those determinations will occur later in the process. And with the assurance that we'd be looking for the safest approach within the required guidelines.
Thank you, Marianne.
Mhm. Also, the New York State School Board annual business meeting, I think it's next week. I forget the date. But is my microphone? Is somebody else's on? That's okay. But I just, yeah. So I did just want to remind everybody that I'll be attending that. And Tricia, I totally agree with your sentiments about compensation because I feel exactly the same way. But I also wanted to note that one of the proposed resolutions is for school board members to receive monetary compensation. So that may be an advocacy piece in the future. So yeah, I just wanted to remind you that I'll be participating in that. And at this point, I think, I'll see how the conversations go, but I'm anticipating voting in line with the NYSBA recommendations. I'm sorry, the NYSBA, New York State School Board Association. I think that's it.
Katie, I just happened, I don't know if this could help with one of the public comments, but I was reading a section on conducting board meetings in full compliance with parliamentary procedures, and this was work done by Jay Warona, who's the Deputy Executive Director and General Counsel of the New York State School Boards Association. And that, I don't know if this will help clarify, but it states that neither the education nor open meetings law require the use of a specific form of parliamentary procedure for the conduct of school board meetings. However, boards may have adopted by policy the use of a form of parliamentary procedure such as Robert's Rules of Order. So I don't know if that's helpful at all, but.
Anybody else have any items? Thank you, everybody. And the last item is our second public comment. And we have one name on the list, and that is Linda Clark.
Linda Clark, I'm a resident of the district. As you are aware, this evening the school was served with a verified petition, which will be going to the Commissioner of Education. I just wanted to call attention to the fact that there is a stay and a preservation of documents within that petition, which changes timelines, responses, and district actions. Thank you very much.
On this, yes.
Greg Sterrett, 154 Glen Lake Road, resident. I want to thank everybody who puts all their hard work and dedication to the kids and to our students and everything. There's a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and I want to thank everybody for going and working for our kids to make them better and to educate them and get them into the future and make them good citizens. So thank you very much. It has been brought to my attention there, though, the Native American heritage symbol is systematically being erased from the thing where we were said it wasn't going to happen, but things are starting to happen. And I just wanted to, one case scenario is we had the dugouts. This particular symbol was on the dugout, and it's now been painted over. It was just painted 2 years ago by my children, which took 10 hours of volunteer time 2 years ago. Paint doesn't really need to be there. It wasn't that bad, but it was done in there. And I just wanted to say that the kids were, I like the LG thing that we're going into and that stuff there, that going back to the old school LG, that's cool too. But I mean, we're all LG warriors there, and a warrior is not a bad thing there. It's somebody who's brave and strong, provides for their family and their tribe. A warrior is from the Native Americans there had to develop themselves to become a adult and to pass tests and like in school and learn and to be a warrior and to be somebody who was honored in the tribe. So, I mean, and not to forget, if it is a symbol that is, people are offended by, I don't understand that, because if we forget about the symbols, if we forget about what the Native Americans went through and what we did to that, or not we, but what in the past has happened to them and their plight, and we erase it from the world, how will the kids growing up know what happened to them if they don't even know what a Native American had gone through? And it brings up a great conversation to be proud and to honor it. I don't think Lake George has ever considered that we take this symbol and it's degrading. We've never ever, it's an honor to be, my kids love being a Lake George warrior. They go out there and they're on their sports teams, they're working real hard, they're doing things, so it gives a symbol. There's Spartan warriors, there's Trojan warriors. Should we forget about them too? You know, Trojans were destroyed off the Trojan War, all these wars. History's full of bad stuff. If you look at history, there's a lot of bad stuff there. But that's what we're learning about. And we're learning why it's bad and what happened and stuff like that. So they're honoring them. We're honoring the Native American warrior. I don't understand how it can be so bad that we get rid of it. And we were promised that it wasn't going to go anywhere. And it's going where in a bunch of different ways. And I got like 3 things that it's disappearing off. And not that I still like the LG and stuff like that, but I don't think we should forget about it neither. So that's my comment. And sorry, I get passionate about things and stuff like that, but thank you again for everybody for all the hard work. I know your heart is always in the right place of what for the kids and really creating good people. So thank you very much. And my kids are doing great. They had a great education. They're going through the school and I'm proud of it. So thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Being here tonight.
We have anybody virtually?
Okay. Well,
We
thank
don't?
you for all who are present this evening. No.
If we had anybody virtually, we would.
Is there anyone else for public comment? Okay. Pardon me, I didn't catch your name.
Patty Middleton Hall Road.
Patty Middleton.
Yeah, and my response when we talked about it was, we're not indigenous. We're not the ones that are offended. So if that community is offended, then we should do something about it. That's all.
Thank you very much. Is there any other folks for public comment? Thank you. Yeah, certainly.
I just think that Greg and Patty brought up some good points, and here we are, you know, where Monday, many people celebrated Indigenous Peoples' Day. We've had conversation at the table, especially when we were talking about the heritage image, about educational efforts toward understanding. I also heard, I don't understand why somebody might think this way. And there are lots of different perspectives and viewpoints, not for us to teach one or the other, but certainly to teach about our history and our present society, all of those things in our civics education. And I think that would be great if John, at some point, you had the opportunity to update the board on some of those educational initiatives, how we are teaching our children, developing our faculty and staff around those topics, which are topics of our times.
Okay.
Greg, I don't see you here often, so I appreciate you coming out. It takes a lot to get out here on a weeknight. And you brought up a couple of points they're important, that the one thing you said a couple of times, which is probably the way, it's not probably, it is the way that I look at what we do here, is the decisions we make have to be the best decisions for the students first, ultimately. And I think there's a ton of people out there that are very proud to be Lake George Warriors. And I appreciate your comments and especially coming out. So thank you very much.
Okay. The next item is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Any discussions, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.